Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I want to go a little bit more in-depth discussion on the new monster, Charlemagne. This card is absolutely insane. It got revealed 2 nights ago, and it got revealed with a bunch of the new Infernoble stuff. By the way, in that review, I kind of said, okay, we get some nice stuff here and there. This support's really good. There is a legitimate shot that Infernoble Knights will be a meta contender yet again. We will have to see, though. Really how it turns out. They still have Ice-Hold, they still have stuff like Neospace, Connector, and all that jazz to like hand rip stuff a little bit, and of course like a ton of other just Fire Warrior generic tools to abuse, and a million searchers, so consistency is through the roof in the deck. But the specific card I want to focus on today is Charlemagne. I think this could arguably just be the most powerful thing they got out of this support. It's insane. It is a LINK-1 of very much individuality. We've not seen a LINK-1 really work like that, and that's going to be kind of the basis of this discussion, is talking about why this is so crazy. We have never seen an actual LINK-1 boss monster, partially because LINK-1s are so easy to make. They only take 1 monster to make. Now, this one is a little bit more specific, and it's not as simple as, oh, any Infernoble Knight makes an insane boss monster. You have to already play to get to your boss monster we played before, at the very least, and then be able to go into this guy. But still, it is still achievable enough, and the fact that it's just a LINK-1 is really, really crazy. So, if you don't know what he is, he's a 3,000 attack Fire Warrior LINK-1 monster named Charlemagne. He points directly down, which doesn't really matter too much, but whatever. His material. So this is the part that kind of nerfs him, and it's really the only part that nerfs him. You can only make him with a level 9 Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles equipped with an equip card. So a lot going on there. I think they put level 9 in there. That way you can't just use any monster that like copies the name of a monster. So that way you couldn't just copy it, and if it wasn't level 9, you would just be able to, go into Charlemagne if you have an equip. They're very much trying to lock it into this archetype, which is totally fair. I totally get it. But the payoff is crazy. The first effect pretty much like equips the Charles you link off for him back to himself, and then copies all of Charles's effects, which includes his ability to equip himself with an equip card on the end phase. Every time he is equipped with an equip card, he can pop a card on the field non-targeting. And I think those are the main 2 things he does. He might do something else, but those are the main things. So he just gets like an additional Dryden, especially since usually most lines you ever make Charles with in the deck, you're putting Roland engrave, and Roland has the quick effect engrave to equip itself to a monster on field. So that gives you a way to quick equip on the opponent's turn and get a pop interruption. Again, non-targeting, very strong. On top of that, it has a soft once per turn. Yeah, both of these effects. Well, no, I guess technically this effect would be a hard once per turn, because you're copying Charles' effect. I think he's hard once per turn. But this second effect, soft once per turn. It's just a spell or trap negate by sending an equip spell from hand or field to grave. This card will already have an equip, almost guaranteed, because it copies Charles, and then it's equipping itself guaranteed on end phase. So very, very easy there. Pretty insane. So spell and trap negate, non-targeting Trident pop, and, you're going to get his stuff equipped to it, usually, and that stuff's going to give you protection anyway. He's also going to be a 500 buff off of having Charles equipped, and depending on what else you have, he could be buffed another 500, another 500. A couple of the equips do stuff like that. So, this card is crazy. That's pretty much my my qualifications for this video. Is this card is insane. I said this card was good. It was probably the best card of the support. This card is insane. The fact that it's soft once per turn, I definitely missed that, means you can potentially end on multiple of this card and just have like 2 to 3 spell or trap negations plus the Trident effect. Insane. Definitely insane. The fact that it's going to be 35 minimum. I mean, this card's just wild. I mean, really, is what it comes down to. And as we look in the history of, like, specifically archetypal LINK-1s, but honestly just any LINK-1s, we have never seen a true boss monster like this. Now, we've seen monsters like Sarah that are, by the way, shout out to Trap Tricks, they're actually pretty good right now. But shout out to monsters like Sarah that, like, are an integral part to the deck, but, like, she's not a boss monster. She's just a resource-generating tool. She doesn't give you interruption. This guy just straight up is 2 interruptions. So there's that. There's, like, the new one, Rock of Vanquisher. Kind of the same thing. It kind of just rotates a ton of resources for you, just like Sarah does. Scareclaw Lightheart, there's a couple of these type ones as well, whether you want to call like Striker Dragon one of these, or Dark Infant Ad Ignister. It's kind of like a starter, right? Normal summon any monster in the archetype, link it off, that gets you this card, which then searches you into your field spell that's going to get you extra extension, right? There's a couple that kind of work like that. Prank Kids, Meow Meow Mew is a very, very particular instance where the way the archetype was designed is that they just needed a way to get a Prank Kid from field to grave, specifically via Link Summon, but once they got it, this card could have been a vanilla, and that archetype still would have been almost just as good. So, yeah, I mean, this was a very particular instance, but that was more based on the construction of the archetype at hand. And then I could argue that maybe the most close thing to Charlemagne is Magical Musketeer Max. And even Magical Musketeer Max, you would argue, again, he's kind of like Sarah. He just kind of gets you a ton of advantage. He just extends you. At least he feels like, he's searching. He could potentially just search you multiple muskets. He could search you summon multiple musketeers from deck and get you a ton of advantage. But at least, like, it's more offensive that way. Sarah's so defensive, right? So in that regard, Max may be the closest thing we've ever seen as far as Link-1s go to Charlemagne, but even so, no, Max is still a crazy card. That archetype needs help, but that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, it's really crazy. This card coming out literally just makes me want to do a like Link-1 tier list and just tier out every single Link-1 in the game, because this guy is S tier for sure. So spoiler alert, if I do decide to make that video, just be wary of that. This deck is crazy. It really is. Still having stuff like I sold, still having stuff like a million search spells, so you can literally get like any monster in your deck like so easily. You've got, I mean, there's like literally 17 like search spells you can play in the deck that essentially search you any Infernoble Knight, but also a good amount of them just search any Fire Warrior as well. So I mean, there's really a lot going on here. I am definitely going to look at a somewhat mid-rangey build of this deck where the goal will be to just kind of get out Charlemagne. Maybe it's also try to get out Phoenix Gearfried. But then be able to play enough defensive cards, because I know in past, at least over the last couple of years, especially when the deck saw some bans that really limited it, losing Auroradon and losing Hauki Fibrax and all these like extra combo lines. There's a world where like the combo version of the deck is hindered enough where maybe there is a world where we can just play a more mid-rangey deck. The goal is just make Charles, because if we make Charles, we make Charlemagne, which means we just have a quick effect Dryden plus a spell and trap negate just on that, plus protection, plus he'll be 3,500, 4,000 attack. It's a really, really annoying monster to beat. And I think with stuff like I sold guaranteeing you a warrior in hand, the deck already has like inherent ways to grind quite a bit. And so I respect the hell out of that as well. So I'm definitely going to take a look at this deck. It's really cool. I love Link-1s personally. I love dueling with them at least. I understand anybody's standpoint that Link-1s are the most broken cards in the game, because that is a completely legitimate argument because they're so easy to access. But I think this one at least is a little bit more fair, that you have to already get to a boss monster. You have to do combo lines to kind of even get to this guy. It's not just normal summon a Infernoble, make this guy at the very least, but still. Very, very cool. So yeah, I'm going to hear your guys' thoughts down below. I know you guys may have already thrown some stuff in the last video, but I really want to hear more specific thoughts on Charlemagne, as well as maybe like some future stuff we could see on Link-1s. I mean, we don't get them very often anymore. Obviously, we're out of the Vrains era, so we're seeing a lot more other extra deck mechanics kind of flourish, more so than Links, like because we're out of the Link era currently. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that stuff down below. So I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts on the discussion down below, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bruce.